A bada bing bada bam.
Welcome to this week's Bacon a Murder, Bacon a Mystery episode. And I'm just gonna jump right into it because it's part 5 of Marry My Husband. Bestie, if you still don't know who Gia is, I don't know what to tell you. We've talked about this show for literally 8 hours at this point. This is part of my 6-part series of the K-drama that has been taking over the world.
But
Marry
this is
My
number
Husband.
5.
Yes, but there's going to be a number 6 on Monday. We've been going back to back every single Monday. So real quick recap of the first few episodes. Okay, Gia's our main girlie and this is her second lifetime. Basically, she got married to this asshole named Michael and he cheated on her with her best friend Stacy, and Michael and Stacy were gonna wait for Gia to die because she has terminal cancer. So the plan is wait for her to die, collect her insurance money so that they can get married. But then Gia ends up finding out about their affair. So she confronts Michael and Stacy about the affair and they basically say to her face,
well, you were gonna die anyway? So why can't we just cash out on it? Like, why can't you die now?
Obviously, Gia starts arguing with them, threatening to sue them for insurance fraud. You get it. Michael ends up pushing Gia onto a coffee table. This is important. Killing her. Gia is given a second chance at life, though. She wakes up 10 years in the past, 2013, before she married Michael. If you put me back in 2013...
No, that would be my 13th reason.
I would be gone. Like,
What?
No, I don't know what was happening in 2013, but you're telling me I gotta do 10 years all over again? Like, what?
The best 10 years of your life?
Oh shit, because I met you. No. 10 years is a lot of time and you already know what's gonna happen and stuff. I don't know. That's a lot, okay? But now, if Gia wants to avoid her fate, she needs someone to take her fate from her. Now, the obvious choice is her former childhood best friend, now sleeping with her gross husband, Michael, Stacy. So, for the first 11 episodes, they're focused around Gia kind of trying to set the stage for Michael to marry Stacy instead of trying to marry Gia. In the meantime, Gia falls in love with her sexy office manager, Richard, who also secretly happens to be the company chairman's grandson. AKA, Richard is future CEO of like $1 billion business.
Chebo, baby.
She's at the height of her life at this point. Michael and Stacy, they get married. That's where we ended off in the last episode. Yeah, and she's in a real life relationship with a Tebar. She's living her best life. But this is a K-drama. At the end of the last episode, we find out that Gia's fate has not gone to Stacy just because she married Michael. In fact, Gia's fate seems to be going to her really good friend and colleague, Mrs. Yang. Mrs. Yang was diagnosed with stomach cancer. That's where we left off.
And there's a new girl.
Yes, so that's problem number 1. Problem number 2, Richard never mentioned that he had a spiteful ex-fiance, another Tebar, another rich girl that he broke up with to be with Gia, and now she's back. Yura is her name, and she is ready for her villain arc. Yura's not here to play. If Stacy is a snake, Yura is the poison. Stacy is the weed in your garden. Yura is the hailstorm that's gonna decimate your whole freaking backyard. I mean, she's got billions of dollars to do it and a ton of free time because she is unemployed. Gia doesn't know this yet, but she's about to find out. So at the end of the last episode, we're inhumanely blue-balled after the sudden arrival of Richard's ex-fiance, Yura, and Gia is spiraling. We get a flashback to her childhood in Busan, and you know, it's rough. Like, I don't know how exactly to put it. I'm going to summarize it because it's kind of like depresso espresso and like you don't really get much out of it. But basically, Gia and her dad, they're struggling. They're struggling to make ends meet, but her dad loves her so much. He does everything for her. And the two of them, they're kind of, you know, this is when she's in middle school, and the two of them, they're trying to both be adults. The mom just ran away when Gia was 14. She ran off with another man. She was like, bye guys, I'm gonna have a good time without you guys. So y'all, she was like a horrendous mom. So Gia's dad is trying to be Gia's dad, but also Gia's mom, and try to make sure that Gia doesn't get lonely. And he's trying to be strong. She's trying to be strong. And it's like this whole emotional moment, and it's really depresso espresso. And Gia's having a flashback to her childhood, and she's thinking, you know, to carry on, I had to accept that this is my life. Like, my life sucked from the get-go. It was just one of the awful ones. Some people just have shitty lives. That's what she thought she had. I mean, there was no reason for her to think that she wasn't one of the unlucky ones. So the next day, this is back when she's young. This is middle school Gia. She's heading to the convenience store per usual. But once it's time to pay, her wallet's missing. She checks her pocket, she checks her backpack, nothing. Wallet gone. And the little Karen, Ajuma, old lady store clerk in this small little town in Busan is like,
Did you lose your wallet? Goodness, you make it so obvious that you live in a house without a mom. Because your mom is no longer living with you, you gotta be smart so others don't find fault in you. You know that, right?
How does she know?
oh, everybody knows. This is the talk of the town. It's a small town. Of course they know. They're gossiping. Gia looks like she's fighting back tears or like, I don't know, a curse word. She looks like she wants to do a seance or two because like, Karen, Ajuma. But a girl around Gia's age walks in. Don't be so nosy, Ajuma. Here, is it yours? Gia turns around and the girl is pushing out her wallet to her. It's Gia's wallet. It's like fate.
Oh.
Here, take it. This is yours, right? Gia slowly grabs the wallet with both hands, almost stunned by this kindness that she's receiving. Like she hasn't received niceness from anyone outside of her dad in a really long time. And that is when the girls form an unbreakable friendship. That girl is Stacy. Gia remembers, anything was good in my past life. I was desperate to feel a hand reaching out to me, too desperate to even judge whether it was land or swamp. I just took it all. She took any little kindness she received from Michael, from Stacy. She took it as love. So Gia's mom is setting the bar real low, okay? And she's just going with the flow. And Gia's like, but this time I was determined not to do it again with my second chance. I was gonna fight, grow, and become happier than anybody else. It was finally my turn to pick a good hand. I picked a good hand this time. I believed I would be happy. And she thinks about all the actual acts of love that Richard had given her. And now she's staring at Yura, who she didn't even know freaking existed. Yura doesn't even acknowledge Gia before she starts talking to Richard. I called to talk, but you wouldn't pick up. I thought about coming back later, but you might keep dodging my call, so I waited to see you. If I were Gia, and I just had the best day possible, and my ex-best friend and my ex-husband just got married, it's D-Day, I would probably be thinking some shit's gonna go down, okay? But not this bad. This is absolutely insane. This is instant karma. So Gia's rethinking her whole life while Richard is trying to backtrack his way out of this. He doesn't even acknowledge Yura. He just turns to Gia and says the worst words possible that no girl ever wants to hear. Can you hit it?
The worst words?
The worst.
Oh, the worst thing ever?
Yeah.
This is my ex?
No, what? Gia, I can explain. But Gia's got too much trauma for this shit. She pulls her hand out of his and just stares at Yura speechless. Yura seems to be enjoying it though because she's smirking back at Gia and Gia thinks to herself, I was wrong. I still only pick bad hands.
Dramatic.
I know. She stumbles back into her apartment and she looks like she's seen a ghost of Christmas past. Honestly, she's better than me. She's trying to make it to her couch at the very least, but she drops her whole body down the wall. She's the slithering down her drywall. And today is D-Day. That means absolute chaos is starting. Gia's phone starts ringing. It's Hannah. So this is Gia's fun coworker, but also Richard's sister that nobody in the office knows is Richard's sister. Okay? Oh, Hannah, sorry for... And Hannah's crying. Miss Kang, what do we do? Just now I called Mrs. Yang because she didn't show up to the wedding. What do we do? Mrs. Yang has stomach cancer. Gia crumbles to the floor. Her phone slips from her hands because Gia's fate has officially moved on. But it hasn't passed on to her ex-best friend Stacy because that's what she thought was going to happen. Michael was going to stress Stacy out so much from being her husband that she was going to get stomach cancer and then eventually get murdered by Michael. But no, Mrs. Yang, an innocent, good person, got stomach cancer. Meanwhile, Yura didn't even just come to Korea to talk because she lives in Japan. She came to claim Gia's man. She's infiltrating the Yu household. I mean, I'm pretty sure Richard wishes that he had a shotgun at this moment. Like, I don't condone violence, but she's crazy. Also, like, the next few episodes, I feel like I'm watching a different show. Like, I don't know what happened to the cutesy little Marry My Husband. Like, heads are going to start rolling.
Heads are start rolling.
Yeah, people are gonna start getting murdered. Like it's great. Like just a lot of murder. Anyway, Yura shows up at Grandpa Yu's house. She's playing Chinese chessboard games. She's drinking tea. She's looking up at Grandpa like she wasn't just tearing up his grandson's life like 2 seconds ago. The future's a mystery, Grandpa. That's why life is so hard. I thought I'd know everything by this age when I was a kid. Well, you're doing great, Yura. I read your column in the company paper about the unfortunate incident. The staff could have been very shaken up. It was a very appropriate response. I was quite proud. Yura's blushing. Also, Yura, I felt bad for asking you to clean up my employee's mess. So apparently, Grandpa Yu asked Yura to write an article to cover up the incident where Director Wang was bonking the flight attendant with the newspaper on the head, remember? Because Yura is the heiress of Cloud Air. So she wrote this whole article, did some PR cleanup, and Yura's like, that's okay. We're like family. It's the least I could do. My father always told me not to forget that UNK was also my family, and I've never thought differently.
She's too smooth.
Too smooth. Your father is very lucky. He raised you well. Well, if you feel that way, I shouldn't have broken off the engagement with Richard. You know, we got engaged because of our parents, and Richard was so indifferent at the time. And I never really liked him as a man, if I'm being honest. That's why I agreed to break off the engagement. But he's become surprisingly charming. I wonder what's happened. Yura plays it off like it was a mutual thing to break off the engagement, but Grandpa is like, I freaking know Richard doesn't like you because he wants to go marry Gia, this humble girl. That's what they call her, the humble girl, okay? So it's pretty obvious to everyone close to Richard that he has changed a lot since Gia came into his life, like his new life. Even Yura noticed, and she wants a piece of that. She wants a piece of that ass. Now,
Why you cup your hand like that?
I don't know. Personally, I feel like Stacy should have gone for the grandpa. Like, Stacy, be smarter. Like, work smarter, not harder. This is the life insurance you want.
But why would Grandpa want Stacy?
Who knows, right? Anyway, Yura's playing dumb. I mean, she's been spying on this couple ever since Richard called off the engagement, and she tells Grandpa Yu, so I've decided I'm going to stay in Korea for a while. Can I do that? I'll come and see you often, Grandpa. She gets back to her hotel suite and she combs through pictures of Gia and Richard on Christmas, on their first date, at Stacy and Michael's wedding, and she talks to her bodyguard who's just standing there watching this unhinged behavior. How would it feel to have my boyfriend marry my best friend? Would I feel lucky since I get a new chaebol boyfriend? Her life's like a little drama, isn't it? The bodyguard is Richard without chaebol. So he's like tall, same jawline, and he's not even responding. Like, he does not get paid to talk. Or maybe he gets paid to not talk. I don't know. But he becomes important later, so just like keep him in mind. Meanwhile, Gia is driving Mrs. Yang to her hospital for an appointment while trying not to have a mental breakdown of her own. She's trying to do everything to support Mrs. Yang, and Mrs. Yang is trying to hold it together, and she's like, Gia, you bought a car just to take me to the hospital to my appointments? How long has it been since you last drove? Well, how are the test results, Mrs. Yang? It's not going to be easy. I have to wait a long time because, you know, the doctor's schedules are always full. But still, medicine's gotten so much better, so I hate this. And she starts crying. I get weak if I'm around you. But when I'm alone, I can be strong and I can try to push through. But when I'm around you, I start crying. Gia immediately pulls the car over, makes a hard stop, and she's like, that's exactly why I need to follow you around, Mrs. Yang. You can't be mentally healthy when you're in pain. Just cry. Don't hold it back. And she hugs Mrs. Yang and she's like, just cry in my arms, okay? You just have to cry. It's kind of aggressive, honestly. And Gia's like, because it's my fault. My fate went to her, but why? This didn't end with Michael's marriage. I thought the fate transferred to Stacy once they got married. Why is it going to Mrs. Yang? Speaking of passing off fates, Michael and Stacy are on their honeymoon, but calling it a honeymoon is kind of a stretch. They would have been better off sleeping in their own house and eating Nutella sandwiches. This Airbnb in Korea is like a bare minimum. It is a couch, a bed, a window, and it's not even a good window. It's like a small window. That's it. Michael is on the bed playing a game on his phone. Stacy's giving him the death glare, hoping he'll either die, drop dead, or come to his senses and take her somewhere. But he hasn't lost all full brain capacity yet because he does notice her death glares. Hey, stop glaring. You should have told my mom if you hated this place. How was I supposed to tell her? You should have told her for me, Michael. Why would I tell her? I think my mom's right. It's dangerous for a pregnant woman to fly. Stacy almost tells him, I'm not pregnant. Because remember, Michael can't get anyone pregnant. She doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. Only Gia knows that because that's in the future. But she did lie about getting pregnant. He's basically shooting Arby's horseradish sauce at this point. He's not getting anyone pregnant. Well, the honeymoon isn't important. She jumps onto the bed. Oppa, let's live a good life, okay? You're the head of our house now. The baby... Apparently, even insinuating that he's the head of anything, okay?
Gets him going.
Oh no, he hates it. He cuts her off.
It.
Hey, why am I the head of the house? Gia never said stuff like that. Oh. Michael sees that Stacy's genuinely upset, and so he tries to kind of talk her out of it. Stacy, you're great and all, right? But you don't know anything about marriage. Listen carefully. Marriage works well when each spouse does their own job. What? You didn't like the wedding invitation? You didn't understand my mom? You hate the honeymoon destination? You keep complaining to me? That's because you only think about yourself. Look at me. Did I say anything about your friends who caused a scene at our wedding? You know, Regina and them? You were upset with me and you threw your phone at me. Hey, are they the same thing? No, they're not. There's no use talking to you, okay? Forget it. Fucking damn it. And he walks out of there, okay?
Dude, what?
This guy is out of his mind. And Stacy is just sitting there and you can see the steam emanating off of her skull. This is not what stealing Gia's man was supposed to feel like. She remembers what Gia said at the wedding. Congratulations on picking up my trash. And Stacy cannot let this end this way. Meanwhile, outside, Michael's calling his buddy about a wire transfer, okay? Yeah, apparently, back in Seoul, he had to ask a friend for a favor. And Stacy, she's gonna eavesdrop this whole situation. Hey, Steve, has it been rented out? Yeah, I just wired the money. Nice. But is it really okay, Michael, to tell your mom that you were scammed if you're the one scamming her? Even if she falls for it, isn't your wife gonna throw a fit about it? I'm my mom's only son. She's not going to kill me. And it's not even my wife's money to begin with. So what can she do? Hold on.
What?
So basically in Korea, when you rent an apartment, so remember how there was like a whole thing where he wanted his mom to buy him an apartment and not rent him an apartment, right?
Yeah.
But then she ended up renting them an apartment. In Korea, the rent works differently. So here you pay like, I don't know, $2,000 a month, right? And that's like your rent. Okay, like $1,000 a month. That's your rent, right? But in Korea, you pay like $200,000.
Yeah.
People take this out on a loan. Nobody just has like $200,000, right? And then you pay like no rent.
Yeah.
And then when you move out, you get the full $200,000 back. Yeah. So like the landlord uses that money to invest it, and then you take out a loan and you just pay off like the loan slowly. It's like a whole thing. It's called chunse or something. Anyway, so his mom wired $250,000 as the chunse, like the hold that she's gonna get back, the deposit that she's gonna get back. Yeah. But then Michael had his friend take it and then wire it back to him so that he's just stealing his mom's $250,000.
Well, what about where they staying?
Oh yeah, he has no plans. No plans, no thoughts, just vibes. Yeah, just vibes. So Michael hangs up and he turns to his side. Stacy's standing right there, glaring him down. And she looks like she smelled one of his crusty little socks under his bed. Oh my God, you scared the shit out of me, Stacy. What were you talking about? What? What are you talking about? What did you hear? What do you mean when you said it wasn't my money? What? Nothing. Michael's about to wish that he kept his business contained in those crusty underbed socks. But he's not the only one with problems. Because meanwhile, at UNK, the meal kit project is falling apart again. The meal kit project is falling apart. I think Mr. Kim had something to do with it. So remember manager Kim? He got demoted to just Kim. Just Kim, okay? And he's really upset about this meal kit project. So he keeps trying to sabotage it nonstop. Like he literally was hired to bring down the company. That's it. I don't know why he's not fired yet, okay? But he goes to the chef. So the meal kit, the company partners with a famous chef and they come out with these meal kits that's going to be sold in the supermarket. He goes to that chef and is whispering in his ear that these meal kits is going to be shitty quality. It's going to be your face on there. It's going to be your name, your brand. Everything's going to tank because the meal kit quality is bad. Who do you think they're going to blame? UNK or you? Your face is on the packaging. So the chef last minute is like, hey, I know you produced all these things, but I want to pull out. So Hannah's dealing with that. Gia's dealing with that. It's a whole show. Meanwhile, Richard's just trying to get Gia's attention because she's been ignoring the fork out of him since Yura showed up. And he finally gets her into a conference room to talk in private. I know it's not time for me to be angry. This is Richard. And it's like, well, no shit, Richard. Why the fork would you be angry? But he's like, but you won't hear me out? You made me call you into the conference room like this at work? I'm sorry. I just needed time to sort out my thoughts. I was confused. I was given another chance at life, and I thought I had to just get Michael and Stacy to marry, and I thought it'd be simple. While I was doing it, you were like a gift to me. Did you ever hear that I was married in 2023 in your past life? No, because I sorted out in a few years anyway. I just sped up the process this time. I never married Yura. Yura's been a family friend since we were kids. I thought I could marry her without any feelings, but that wasn't the case, so I ended it with her. Girly is so ignorant to the Chebar lore, okay? How can you marry someone without any feelings? Girly pop. He's like, such relationships exist. To be honest, I didn't know how I felt about you before your funeral, so I ended it when I got back. That's all. I don't know. Everything you say to me just sounds like an excuse right now. Listen, I don't want to break the fifth wall, but I want to. Like, I personally want to fight Gia in this scene. Like, let's stay focused, Gia. There is a rich Tebar who's obsessed with you that he ended his politically motivated engagement for you. What's the excuse you're hearing? Because I'm not hearing it. Nobody on TikTok's hearing it. Nobody's heard it but you. Richard is like, Gia, I'm not trying to blame you, Richard. I realized I dreamed of something that was maybe too happy for me. At the lake, Gia, you told me that having a family was a good thing. I wanted to start a family, so yes, I made a mistake. Gia, just have his Chebar babies, okay? Like, take one from the team. What are you doing? But she turns to Richard. My mom left home when I was 14. She said she found love. She held on for 14 years because of me, but no matter how long you endure it, everybody you leave behind eventually gets hurt. So no matter what the relationship was with you and Yura, once it started, I don't think it's right for just one person to end it one-sidedly. Not her saying that while literally ending a relationship one-sidedly. Like, girl did more gatekeeping, gaslighting, and girl bossing in this one for real. Like, she thought she served, but she gave us nothing. Yeah, everybody was kind of frustrated with Gia. Like, I still love her, but come on.
I don't get it. What is she so mad about?
She doesn't know that Yura's bad, so she feels bad for Yura. She's basically saying...
What are you talking about?
She's basically saying you made a commitment to marry this girl, so you need to follow through with it. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's weird.
That was weird, okay?
Like,
he's
what?
not even cheating on her.
Yeah, he broke up with her?
Exactly.
Okay, that's too much.
But then I think if they were just dating, she wouldn't have said anything, but like they were engaged. But then like she broke up her engagement with Anyway, Richard is relating more than Gia realizes. Just wait. It's gonna come off full circle. Anyway, Girly Popsicle is being very dramatic, so Richard tries a different approach. He grabs her hand before she can walk off. I recruited Dr. Lee to our cancer ward from the States. She specializes in stomach cancer. I spent half a year on this. Mrs. Yang will receive surgery as soon as possible. So for the record, Mrs. Yang just got diagnosed with stomach cancer. So if Richard has spent 6 months on this, that means he's been planning this since Gia got sick, like just in case. So, and he's like 8 feet tall and still growing. Like, give the man a break, Gia. But she won't. She just takes the business card and goes back to her desk. She sits down and then she gets a phone call. No caller ID. Do you know who it is? Yes, you do. Gia walks into a fancy vintage restaurant. Everything is red and black. And she gets led into the back private dining room where Yura is sitting in front of a glass of red wine and a bloody ass filet mignon, because of course that's what she consumes. She just takes up space like fog. Like, her presence is everywhere. She can feel Yura's murky energy as soon as she walks in the room. I hate cliches like this, but I guess I can't help it. Thanks for coming, Gia. Gia sits down across the table and somehow a filet mignon also spawns in front of her. Gia takes a deep breath and she talks. I thought it was only right to talk to you, so I came. There's nothing to worry. It's not for you to decide, is it? Because it bothers me. I'm sorry. I didn't know that he was engaged, and I'm going to stop seeing him. In life, there are times that you accidentally stab someone, but saying that you didn't know and you'll never do it again doesn't cut it, does it? Well, what do you want me to do? I liked him. I didn't mean to, but I fell for him. So I had a happy dream for a moment. However, after I found out about you, I ended it. It's interesting that you fell for him, though. Don't you think so? Because didn't you have a boyfriend for 7 years? You were practically married to your boyfriend, no? Why did you suddenly fall for your boss after 7 years of working with him? Is that because you found out that he's UNK's successor?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But like, Gia's like, it's not like that. Then you didn't know. I mean, Girly Pop can't just tell Yura that she's been to the future and came back to take revenge, but also found out in the midst of it that Richard's been in love with her since they've been in college and they traveled 2 lifetimes together to be together, and then they both saw her dead dad. Like, she can't say that over filet mignon, now can she? So Gia just sits there suspiciously silent, and Yura reads between the lines. So you knew. I think we're done here, Yura, if you'll excuse me. Gia's about to leave when Yura knocks her wine glass over and it shatters in front of Gia's feet and stops her dead in her tracks. It's giving anger management issues. What I hate most are people like you. Self-righteous nobodies. I feel so attacked right now, okay? You were greedy, but you say you weren't. You know everything, but you pretend you don't. You're not dumb enough to not know that he could change your life. Yura stands up, gets right up in Gia's face, yanks her at the chin like a little girl. She's acting so ballsy for someone whose height card is declining, okay? She's nowhere near as tall as Gia right now. So first, Gia looks terrified. But then she's like, wait a freaking minute. Like, what is she gonna do, kill me? I've already died. So she chuckles. How predictable. You're also the exact type of person that I hate as well. Do you think that everyone thinks like you? You think it was important to me because he was the successor of UNK? It didn't matter to me at all because my life changed with or without him. Gia knows her face card is serving, so she's like giving her the stare, and then she gets out of there. She walks out. If she is anything like Richard, Yura's not gonna stand for someone else having the last word. So you can just tell she's already started plotting. Meanwhile, Richard gets home and sees a white bag on the floor next to his apartment door. It's the authentique box, and he opens it up, and it's the diamond necklace that he got Gia. She's giving it back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so anyway, Gia's sitting on the couch. She's trying to journal what the fork Fate is doing right now because Fate is doing some shit that she's not into. It's not making any sense. Gia's thinking, I need to get a grip. If the cancer went to Mrs. Yang, wait, what happens now? Speaking of Mrs. Yang, she's about to leave for the hospital. Her whole family is walking her out to the car, putting her bags in the trunk. Her mom is holding on to Lucy, their daughter, you know, Mrs. Yang's daughter, and they're all waving goodbye. But Mr. Lee, the scary right-hand man of Chairman Grandpa at UNK, like the lawyer of the whole place, the HR guy, he's across in the parking lot just watching from a distance like a creep. He's a creep. And he sees deadbeat husband in the driver's seat just giving off rancid vibes. And when I say Mr. Lee is a creep, I like him. I like him a lot. And Mr. Lee is like, what am I doing right now? Why am I doing this? Why am I here? And then Mr. Lee notices one girl who stays back to catch the car leave longer than anybody else. Deadbeat is cheating on Mrs. Yang with her parent restaurant employee. Yeah, just like Stacy. So like it's instead of a best friend, it's an employee. Let's call her Stacy number 2 because I mean, are you seeing what I'm seeing? She's about to be Stacy number 2.
Oh, Miss Yang is going to the hospital and the husband's cheating, and then she's gonna come back and catch them cheating.
And then she's gonna die.
Ah.
Like, I know Mr. Lee is not the type to get into other people's businesses, like, let's be clear, but this man is sitting there fuming, watching this all go down. Like, yes, go save her. Go save her, Daddy Lee. Do it. Anyway, Gia's at work and Mrs. Yang sends her a text message. I went to see Dr. Lee. I made treatment appointments and I can get surgery soon. I don't know why, but she said that she always just kept one slot open at all times. Again, because Richard and Gia, Richard did that. He kept paying for her to keep one slot open. She's like a specialist in this from the United States.
Oh, that's right.
Just in case. And Gia realizes Richard literally saved Mrs. Yang's life by being a reliable, responsible, well-connected alpha male. So naturally, Gia cannot approach him to thank him. The only appropriate way to deal with an alpha chaebol is to ignore his advances until at least episode 13. Anyway, in the meantime, Gia's at work, racking her brain on what the fork is going to happen next, because now that she's married off her husband, Michael, someone's bound to die soon, right? She's in the office thinking, husband, what if fate has something to do with the husband and not marrying Michael, just the husband? Because maybe even though Stacy marries Michael, maybe the fate doesn't go to her. The fate of dying doesn't go to Stacy, because just because she married the killer doesn't mean she's going to go down the way that Gia did. Gia's working her little noodle. When I think about it, Stacy's very different from me. Although she married Michael like I did, would she just let him walk all over her like I did? We're about to find out. Spring is my favorite season. There's something about the sunshine and the air. It's in the season to thrive. I mean, in everything from your mental health to your bank account, it is the season. Making progress though with your finances is just not easy, but with the right checking account, it can definitely feel easier. Chime's online checking account has a lot of really useful features like fee-free overdraft of up to $200 for eligible members. Just set up a qualifying direct deposit, sign up for SpotMe, and Chime will spot you up to your limit when you make a debit card purchase or cash withdrawal that exceeds your balance. Plus, you get paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit, all while managing your money on the go 24/7. Chime has no monthly minimum balance or overdraft fees, and there are no fees for accessing one of the 60,000 Chime-friendly ATMs. You can use the Chime app to find the nearest ATM, and you can easily use Chime to even wire money to your friends, even if they're not Chime users, which they should be. So sign up for Chime today. Joining takes just minutes. Get started at chime.com/baking. That's chime.com/baking. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. SpotMe eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply. Because Stacy and Michael are back at Michael's mom's house about to tell Michael's mom that they got scammed out of the apartment. And they are on their knees in front of her, and the $250,000 is gone. Michael's mom is sitting on the couch. She's looking pissed. She's looking like she's gonna cut them up and turn them into kimchi. I don't know. She's like, what? A scam? I'm gonna kill that real estate agent. She gets up. I don't know to do what, jump a realtor, but Michael grabs her leg like a pole. No, Mom, I took care of it. I spoke to her. Mom, just calm down. What the hell did you take care of? Why would you be on your knees then if you took care of it, huh? Michael's mom starts smacking Michael like he's a drum, like boom, okay? And I can see where he gets his violent tendencies from. And Michael's mom takes a second to really think about who's to blame here, okay? She's closing her eyes and then she opens them and stares straight at Stacy. Right. Well, if you think about it, this is all your fault, Stacy. Because what does a man know? This is why a good woman needs to join the family. I shouldn't have been so hasty. I felt strangely hesitant about you guys getting married. It felt wrong, but now I know why. You should have seen the red flags. Stacy's on her knees. She can't believe this audacity. So she gets up, dusts off her knees, and looks Michael's mom straight in the face. Omani, mother, you should get the facts straight. You picked the house and you gave him the money to sign the contract. Why are you blaming me? I mean, after I let it slide that he was renting a house, not buying one for us. Michael's mom is absolutely gagged. Listen to you. I've been nice to you because you're pregnant. You didn't bring anything to the table. But what? You let it slide? Mother, I have money. He said not to bring anything. I mean, I guess it's because he wanted to move in here, I guess. She looks around at their house like it's a tiny little anthill apartment, and it's getting Michael all riled up. He stands up. Hey, you're a contract employee. What money do you have?
Okay, so her response is completely different, right? Basically, she's like throwing a fit rather than...
She's like, why the f*** are you yelling at me? What did I do? I didn't do anything. Get your facts straight, lady. I'm not going to sit here and take this. She's like dusting off her knees. Yeah, and Michael's like, what are you doing? He doesn't even get it that Stacy's trying to save his ass. Stacy looks at him. Oh, I invested in some stocks. I earned a lot, actually. Stacy gets both Michael and his mom looking like bobbleheads. They look so confused. Look, mother, I'm not excited about this at all either. And let's be honest, I did everything that you wanted for the wedding, and during the honeymoon, I learned of his... Michael shushes her before she can drum out the word debt. And he gets banged like a drum again. In any case, stop hitting Michael, mother. He's the head of our household now and our baby's father. Or shall I just leave with my baby? Michael finally catches on and he scooches over to Stacy, puts his hands protectively over her stomach and looks at his mom with puppy dog eyes. Oma, our baby. Basically, she just put Michael and his mom in a headlock. She's officially letting them know she's got leverage. She's not afraid to walk out with her imaginary child. So let's start moving into Michael's mom's guest bedroom. And apparently Michael's got like a secret stash of alcohol in the closet for emergencies. Today is an emergency. He's getting drunk. See, marriage isn't all that bad, right, Stacy? I gained an ally. Stacy's side-eyeing him. She's ready to drop another bomb. Don't worry, Stacy. My mom can be a bit harsh, but she's cool. Once our baby's born, she's going to buy us a house. When she hears that baby crying, she's going to want us out of here. There is no baby. What? No what? What did you just say? Michael's mom slams open the door because, why give your adult child and his wife any privacy? Michael quickly hides the liquor from his mom. I'll be home later. Make sure the house is spotless clean. I can't believe this is my life anymore. I have 2 more mouths to feed at this ripe age. God, such nuisances. It. And she leaves. Now, as soon as she leaves, Michael turns to Stacy. What do you mean there's no what? Stacy really could have been an actress at this point because her voice starts shaking. I had a miscarriage. When you threw your phone at me during the wedding, my stomach started to hurt and I was so scared and I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to disappoint your mom, so I couldn't tell you. Michael starts crying, like tears streaming down his face. Okay, maybe he feels bad. Maybe he really did have some sort of attachment to his semen demon. Or maybe all of this is literally for nothing and he's crying because he's stuck with a wife that he could care less about and that is bringing nothing to the table. I don't know. Meanwhile, Stacy is in his room pretending to cry when Michael wipes away his tears and comes back to comfort her. And that's when the single cell organism Michael calls his brain shows signs of life. Wait, by the way, you said that you were craving beef during our honeymoon because of the baby, because you're pregnant. But by that point, didn't you already know that you didn't have a baby? At this point, Stacy is holding a fake sonogram and wiping imaginary tears from her eyes. And she calmly puts it down, looks at him, and decides he's not even worth a proper lie. She just bluntly says, didn't you say that you had a house when you didn't? And they're both like, okay, valid. So they both shut up. Yeah, I mean, she does have a point. Everything Michael and his mom promised for their marriage is all for show. I mean, what the fork does Stacy get out of this? Stacy's a bitch, but you have to agree, that was like kind of low-key iconic. Meanwhile, Gia is spending her time staying distracted at work, and since Mrs. Yang is out for surgery, it's the perfect excuse. She's staying so late that all the lights in the office go down except for her little desk light. Beautiful woman should never have to send emails. But alas, such tragedies occur on a daily basis. Gia has accepted her fate. She's working her corporate job. Her neck is stiff. She's taking these like espresso chocolates. Anyway, Hannah walks in. Mrs. Kang! Oh, you scared me. I thought you left earlier. Hannah takes her to the break room and forces Gia to take a break. She's like pouring out the little salmon chips. She's got a beer for her. This is perfect, Hannah. Thank you. I seriously needed this. To tell you the truth, my brother brought all of this, and he said that you would need it. What? My brother's been hesitant and walking on eggshells lately. Is it because of Yura? Yeah, well, she's been seeing my grandpa, but Miss Kang, whether he called off the engagement for you or because he came to his senses, I totally support it. To tell you the truth, Richard only got engaged because of me. He said that we need to make a family, firm enough to stand on, like land. Also, my brother never had any interest in dating. He just seemed so emotionless. He always suppressed his emotions like some sort of robot, but he's been so different lately. He was never really like this. Hannah is working overtime for her brother. She's trying to get another shopping spree, okay? Trying to tell Gia the truth, but Yura is like a straight up psychopath that doesn't even like Richard, but has this weird ownership feeling over him and would physically assault any girl that he was seen with in the past 5 years that they were, quote, engaged, even though they're living in different countries. They hate each other, but like, I don't know what the deal is. Richard never liked her. Richard would never cheat on her, but Gia is not having it. She's like, I am so over these love triangles. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to be sad and live my best life by myself, depressed and lonely. She's like, enough, Hannah. I know Richard's good. This is my fault though. So let's just stop talking about it, please. But Hannah just diverts her attention. She's just as frustrated as us. She's like, Gia, no, you're not getting it, okay? Miss Kang, I'm not actually Richard's full biological little sister. My brother was hurt badly because of me and my mom, so he would never cheat on anyone. Insinuating that Richard's dad cheated on Richard's mom with Hannah's mom and then had Hannah. And he was so hurt by that, he would never cheat on somebody. Literally the same childhood setup as Gia, basically. So if anyone knows the pain that she's going through, it's going to be him. So again, what did we tell you, Gia? Go back to Richard. So while they're talking, Richard is busy being tortured by the lack of Gia presence in his life, and he starts making his way over to his grandpa's house to see if Yura's still sucking up to his grandpa. And spoiler alert, she is. Yura's heading outside with Grandpa Yu after another tea party session, and she's waving her goodbyes. Richard looks only at his grandfather and says, Grandfather, I'm back. I can escort Yura now. Bye, Grandfather. I'll come again tomorrow. Yura smiles, gives him a hug. Okay, you come often, Yura. Okay. And she walks off. Richard and Yura, they start walking down the ridiculously long driveway down to his car. I don't know why he didn't park any closer, but anyway, Richard's walking at like an arm's distance, pretending like he doesn't hate her guts. What are you doing here? I've been meaning to tell you this, Richard, but you've changed a lot. You didn't just change your appearance. I feel like you're a proper man now. So yeah, I came to see your grandfather, and regardless of our relationship, he and I have always been close, no? Well, that's interesting that you two suddenly got closer. You came to Korea on the 8th, and you've already seen him 3 times. That's never happened during our 5-year engagement. Things like this. See, that's what gets me. You didn't used to care about anything but work, but now you're so detailed. Is it because of her? Didn't you agree to breaking off the engagement? That was before I knew there was another woman. You see, I don't like anyone touching what's mine. Lady, what? Like, she's already a tebar, but she gives that I'm so bored of life that I need some sort of drama. Like, I need to fuck some shit up, okay? That's the vibe she gives me, and it's so unhinged and unpredictable and creepy. Yura is actually properly insane. In the past life, we see Yura at the yoga studio pretending to like practice her yoga poses. Richard walks in and he slams a police report down, and it's just pictures of a woman that's badly beaten, like blood all over her hair, all in her teeth, her eye is completely swollen shut, and Richard is like, you know we were not dating. Yeah, well, it's her fault. Why covet what's mine? I don't like anyone touching what's mine.
This was from the past life.
Yeah.
So insinuating that this could be Gia.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She will beat up whoever's... Yeah. Okay.
So he drops her off because Grandpa Yu told him to, and he comes back to Grandpa's house, and Grandpa's all like, you're such a sweet girl. She's coming to visit me, blah, 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 blah. You know, and then he's like, why do you think that is? It's not because she's such a good girl, okay? And the Grandpa's like, well, she is obsessive over what she wants, and she's gonna take it no matter what, which is exactly what the wife of a UNK successor needs to be like. A woman needs some spite in her to take care of her family, to protect her family. Guys, I had to put on sunglasses because my eyes have been so sensitive to the light recently. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I look goofy. I look goofy is what I have to say. But anyway, Grandpa Yu is being, he's being a little toxic person. But Richard is like, what about my dad, huh? What about your son, Grandpa Yu? He cheated on his sick wife and then moved on to a new woman, which at first, Richard felt just like Grandpa. He liked Hannah's mom because she was there for him and filled the role of a mother when his mom died. But when he found out about Hannah, about how his dad had another kid with her when Richard was just only 5 years old, I mean, what could he say? It seems like Richard's dad had an affair with a greedy, selfish woman that wanted to steal the UNK fortune from Richard's sick mother and had Hannah. Now, as a grown man, Richard said all he felt bad for was how Hannah got looped into all of this. When his dad had an affair, I mean, it was probably a huge red flag for Grandpa Yu, but now he's praising Yura for trying to do the same thing. Make it make sense, Gramps, okay? So while Yura's on the next step of her diabolical plan to make Gia crash and burn, Stacy's spinning through all the 9 circles of her own personal hell right now. Like, girl would not survive a single day in Gia's past life. Basically, she's overlooking the living room of Michael's mom's house, and it's a mess. Clothes are randomly on every piece of furniture. There's old plates of food that reek of coffee, and it's just disgusting. The sink is filled to the brim with dirty dishes. Michael's mom walks past her. There's laundry to do today. Don't just do what's in the basket. Organize the closet and wash the old clothes too. By myself? Where are you going? I'm the secretary of the Women's Center. I have a luncheon. Oh, right. And she walks over to the stereo and starts playing some very loud, aggressive classical music. Since you're alone, take it easy while listening. Isn't your life so sweet? Aren't you just bursting with luck, aren't ya? She rubs Stacy's non-existent belly. Your grandmother will be right back later, our little general baby. Mwah! And then leaves. Stacy is like, what the fork is going on? She looks like she's never cleaned a day in her life. She's gagging at the dishes. She's picking up laundry with her fingertips. She's grabbing sheets she's losing it. At one point, she drops everything down and she starts freaking the fork out. Is this really it? Is this really my life? Ding dong. She hears the doorbell ring and she gets a mysterious envelope at her doorstep. She doesn't know yet who it's from, but we know it's from Yura. She opens it up and she sees dozens of pictures of Richard. Richard sitting next to the CEO of UNK. What the hell is this? Richard? And then she gets pictures of Richard going on dates with Gia, looking all and by the way, Hannah's name is also on there, so like, slay. Anyway, Stacy's about to lose her freaking marbles. She's finding out that she did in fact take out Gia's trash. She dumped Michael on me and she goes for a rich man? No, absolutely not. I stole him. I did it. I stole him. She's in full denial. She starts slamming on the coffee table. She's screaming. She grabs a plate of fruit and she throws it at her wedding photo, shattering the whole frame. She locks herself in the room and Michael comes home and his mom is sitting on the couch, quietly scathing, staring at the cracked wedding frame. What, Mom? What's going on? Why is the house all like this? Why are you asking me, you imbecile? Your wife did this to the house. Lock the door to the guest bedroom and she won't come out. Michael uses his key to unlock the guest bedroom and Stacy is sitting on the floor next to the bed and she's got all the papers in her hand. She shoves it in front of Michael and he starts pacing back and forth. Wait, what? Damn it! All that tall jerk did was be born into the right family. What the hell have my parents done with their entire lives, huh? You know, I can fly much higher with a little bit of extra support. Are you really jealous of Richard right now? Gia dumped you on me like trash. Yeah, so what are you gonna do about it, huh? So it wasn't just trash. I picked up trash with no pride. You little, not just that. You're stupid too, Michael. Have you paid off your debt yet? Shh! My mom can't hear you. Stop bringing that up in the house. How much is left, huh? 75K? Is that enough? What? We deserve compensation, don't you think, Michael? Why does Gia always get all the good stuff? You're so simple-minded, Stacy. Are you out of your mind? Do you think Gia's gonna give it to you? Money? She's gonna give you money just like that? I'll make her. I know everything about Gia, even what she doesn't know. And Stacy is genuinely going to pull some moves here because Stacy already has an ace up her sleeve that nobody could have predicted. I didn't freaking predict this. She's about to throw everything else out the window and go for that big prize. She's trying to get some money. So we see her pull out her phone and make a phone call, a phone number that she knows by heart. Meanwhile, Gia's still having a PTSD nightmare about Stacy. She wakes up in the middle of the night and she sees her phone light up. It's a missed call and a text message from a number that she doesn't recognize. She doesn't even have this saved. But the text message says it all. It reads, Gia, I can't reach you. How have you been? I heard about you by chance. It's your mom. Gia hasn't seen or talked to her mom since middle school. The way her mom dropped her whole existence for a man down the street and all of a sudden asks, how have you been? Gia's better than me because she heads out to a cafe in a high-rise building in Seoul overlooking the skyscrapers to meet her mom. Gia's mom walks in, all doe-eyed at her grown-up daughter, but Gia's still not sure how to feel. Her mom sits, orders a cup of tea, and they start conversing. You grew up so well, Gia. You really did. You're still beautiful, Mother. You were always the prettiest in our neighborhood. I'm all old now. Time can't help but pass. You're pretty too. I'm glad you take after me. I know it's in the past now, but I never liked your father, Gia. I was young and struggling, and he liked me so much. I thought that I could like him too. Everyone got married like that back then in the days, but I didn't like him, and because of that, I didn't like you either. I mean, I did. You're my kid. How could I not? Anyway, I'm sorry. I was so immature. I had you when I was still really young, and I wasn't ready. Still, I missed you so much. Then why didn't you come and look for me? Forget my dad. Why couldn't you come see me? I did. He didn't let me. Do you not know how much he cared for you? I know he was a good father to you. He was sweet, but he was so stubborn. He wasn't considerate. It was just hard for me. I was only able to come see you after I heard that your dad had passed. It took courage. Gia looks a little defensive. My father tried his best to raise me. I mean, of course, your absence was big for me. I was just an adolescent girl. That's why I became attached to the wrong people. I didn't know how to express myself. No, actually, I didn't know how I even felt. There was no one to teach me because you were gone. Gia's mom looks down at her hands and her eyes are puffy. I'm sorry, Gia. It's all my fault. I was a bad mother and it made you suffer. How can I make it up to you? How can I do that? Gia stops the tears from pooling in her eyes and she cuts the coffee date short. So they're outside. She's about to hail her mom a cab when she says, wait, what are you doing tomorrow, Mom? Huh? If you're free, would you like to go on a date with me? Gia's mom gives her a big smile of approval, and the next morning Gia pulls up in her new car to pick up her mom, and it's honestly a pretty cute date. Like, Gia really needed this right now. So they grab some breakfast, they go to the mall. Gia takes her to those cute like photo booth areas where you design your own filters and you take the little photo strips. She's doing that. They're making I love yous with their arms. They go shopping. Gia takes her to a handbag store, and Gia's mom is trying to window shop, but Gia immediately wants to buy her every single thing, so she's getting she's getting a handbag, she's getting a diamond necklace, she's getting clothes, she's getting a tweed jacket. Gia's mom is smiling from ear to ear, and she's looking, they're now sitting at a cafe. She's now looking at all of her designer shopping bags sitting next to her, like she can't believe this is happening. Like, she's glowing. Are you happy, Mom? Of course. I'm so lucky to have a daughter like you. Since you date a rich man, you really know how to...
Oh.
Oopsie. Gia's mom just gave away her whole MO, okay? She just got caught and red-handed. Gia's mom looks like she wants to suck the words back into her little rectum, but Gia's already caught on. I knew it. Even though I went to a good college and I joined a big company, you never called. Gia, what I said was, if you're talking about Richard, I'm not seeing him anymore. We broke up. What? Why on earth would you break up with him? Why, are you lying to me right now? Are you lying, right? Why did you do it? Why did you break up with him? Why? Then why did you run away? I mean, I didn't want to believe it, you know? I don't know if Gia even knows how her mom found out, but we just see through a flashback. We see exactly how Gia's mom found out that she's dating a Tebar. Stacy had called her. That's the number. Gia's mom picked up, goodness, look who's called. How have you been? Stacy doesn't even go for a greeting. She gets straight to the point. I heard you need money. Turns out Stacy tipped Gia's mom off, thinking she could weasel her mom back into Gia's life, hoping that that's her in to swindle Gia's Tebar's money somehow. So you already knew, huh? Then why'd you buy me all of these things today? I wanted to try it once, you know? A date with a mom. I wanted to be a loved... I wanted to be a loved daughter, a good daughter, and have a happy daughter and mom moment. I wanted to try it once. And now that I've done it, have a safe trip back. But before Gia walks off, her mom tugs at her sleeves and says the most shameless thing ever. Well, do you have any money? A good college and a good company? Do you have $75,000 at least? I'll never come see you again. Do you think that I wanted to come see you? You should understand me. Who else is going to understand me if not my daughter? Gia looks disgusted. I have no money and I have no mother either. I didn't before and I won't in the future. You chose to live as a woman instead of a mother, so keep it that way. Go live the rest of your life quietly and don't be greedy. Gia walks off with a big smile on her face, but she's not happy. Like, it's not a smile knowing that she knew what was happening. It's not a smile that she was right. It's an 어이없는 smile. I think a lot of Koreans do this, and people give me flack for it, but a lot of Koreans like to laugh when something is so ridiculous that you're like smirking.
Or scoffing?
Yeah, you're like, but then sometimes it just turns into an actual smile, but you're not actually smiling. Like, it's like when something is so absurd, you're almost smiling because of how absurd it is.
Yeah.
And Gia's mom is just watching her walk away. That bitch. I mean, the woman can't disappoint her more than she already has, right? It's right on par. But her mom is not going anywhere anytime soon. So, just buckle up. So Gia's obviously grieving the fact that after 20 years, her mother comes back just to disappoint her once again. And Gia's really needing some Richard Daddy energy right now. So she's holding back tears, debating, should she go see him? Should she not? She does. She walks down the university hallway and peeks in through the window of the door to see Richard practicing judo with Sam. But once he looks over, she hides behind the door, hoping that he doesn't see, hoping that he doesn't notice. But of course he does. Richard is so shook that his friend Sam actually manages to flip his 69-foot tall, 250-pound pure muscle, 7-foot wingspan body onto the ground. I flipped him for the first time. Did you guys see that? I flipped him. I still got it. Richard is not caring. His instincts are going haywire. If Girly Pop is here to see him, something must be very wrong. Gia leaves before he can get to her, and she makes her way to her dad's burial site to let out a good cry. Dad, the gift you gave me, I really wanted to use it well this time. But why is the world so hard? I hurt someone precious to me again, and it's all just too difficult for me. I really wanted to do well this time. What do I do? What do I do in this situation? I'm sorry I'm such a fool. So the whole time, tears are just dripping from her eyes like raindrops. Her heartstrings are torn to pieces, and she gets back into her car, wiping away the streams of her tears still left on her face. She checks her phone, and she's about to drive off. But seconds before she hits the road, another black car turns on and follows her out of the cemetery. She's being followed right now. And it's just one of those drives, you know? She's just having a rough time. She slowly makes a stop at a red light. Not a single car is on the intersection, but just a block away, a white dump truck is waiting on the side. We all know what that means, don't we?
Bruh.
It's a K-drama.
Bruh.
We all know what that means. The driver gets a phone call and they say, in 3 minutes? Understood. The man slips on his leather gloves and he starts the engine and he starts heading straight for Gia head on. He slams on the headlights and heads for Gia like 100 miles per hour. And for one terrifying moment, it seems like the truck is gonna slam front first into Gia's car. But then our alpha wolf daddy hero slams on the accelerator. He shows up out of nowhere. Richard, we see him speed right past Gia in his G-Wagon Flex Bugatti, okay? Somehow, we don't even question how he's there. By the power of the Tebar gods, Richard manages to swerve in front of Gia's car at the exact moment that the dump truck is gonna hit her, and the truck hits him in his Maybach Bentley sedan instead, okay? As the crash is happening, Gia sees Richard's face. He looks determined. He's not even scared of death. He mews in the face of death. You know what mewing is?
Mewing?
Yeah, it's when you put your tongue to the top of your roof, the roof of your mouth, and you'd be looking snatched. He's mewing in the face of death. Okay, he's
meow.
No, he's mewing straight at Gia. Like, he's crazy. This is so unserious. Richard is mewing in his death, and it's so Richard. And that is how the episode ends. Does he die? Click episode 13 right now, okay? And by the way, just the absolute way we just get blue-balled, we are transported back in time to 6 days before the car accident. So we don't even know, does he live or does he die? And we get to see how everything unravels. So he gets hit by that car. Now, Yura's in her hotel room and a girl is on her knees just giving Yura cuticle treatment before she's about to go to bed. But her bodyguard walks in to whisper in her ear and it pisses her off. No wonder they live like that. Why do I always have to do everything myself to get things done properly? She's pissed because Stacy and Michael are doing all sorts of idiotic attempts to try and get at Gia. So Yura starts to take action. Meanwhile, Michael's walking out of his mom's building to escape married life. He's on the phone with his one and only buddy, but a bodyguard honks. Yeah, there's a car, a Mercedes, just outside the building, and it's honking. A bodyguard gets out, and he's like, what the fork is going on? And then the door opens, and Yura walks out in a long ruby red coat and walks over to him. Michael Park? So Yura gives him the evil eye, and he immediately gets the assignment. He gets into the back of Yura's black stallion Lamborghini sedan in a very suspiciously empty parking lot. Bestie is hard struggling to find a compliment for Michael. You look better in person. Yeah, everyone says I look better in person. By the way, have you and I met before? You look familiar. We've never met, but we know the same person. Gia Kang stole my fiance. Meanwhile, Stacy's back at home folding laundry, trying to work her last Hail Mary. She calls Gia's mom to see if the plan for Gia's money has been set in motion. Are you that stupid? How could you bring up the money first? I told you to soften her up by pulling the sweet loving mom act. I tried. She just drew the line. She confronted me right away in my face. I mean, she really is a piece of work. Then you should have played dumb. Ugh, forget it. No wonder you live such a crappy life. Damn it. The way Stacy is like flopping in all of her attempts right now, I mean, is beyond me. So she hangs up the phone and she sees Michael calling. Yura's quietly in the car seat next to him, waiting for him to get off the phone. Obviously, a rich, sexy woman cannot be trusted. So Michael calls Stacy to make sure that Yura is telling the truth. He gets straight to the point. Where'd you get the photos of Richard that prove that he's the next CEO of UNK? Took you so long enough to ask. Why? And where are you? It's late. Why aren't you home? I'm asking you a question. Did you get those in an envelope? What did the envelope say? How'd you know that I got them in an envelope? He tells Stacy to send a picture of the envelope, and he sees that it's signed from your friend. And he scoffs. This rich woman is telling the truth. Gia stole her Chebar daddy fiance, or at least it seems that way, right? But does he really want to get in between two Chebars and possibly disappear to the bottom of the ocean? No, thank you. Michael says, I guess a rich girl is upset because someone stole her man. But shrimps are smart these days, you know? They know that they only suffer in a whale fight. You and Richard are two whales, and I'm not trying to be here right now. Michael gets out of the car and is about to storm off, but Yura gets out. Yura can tell that he only responds with his ego, so she hits him where it hurts most. People like you live lives as shrimps forever. Because a freshwater shrimp like you, a bite-sized one who doesn't know how big the ocean is, of course you're doomed for this. Michael grabs Yura by the arms and pins her up against her car. She lets her bodyguard stay back. She's not scared of this little shrimp. You little, say it again. Hey, okay, then live the rest of your life like the loser that you are, wondering why nothing ever goes your way and feeling sorry for yourself. You watch your mouth. You must not know how scary a shrimp can be, rich girl. You'll still bleed if a shrimp bites. The threats make Yura giggle. Okay, like actually, the man is gripping her to the car and snarling like a wild animal, but he's like, I'm a big bad shrimp. It's really dumb. Yura's like, don't be a shrimp that bites. Be a shrimp that can beat a whale. Do you think Gia Kang's the only one whose life can change overnight? Michael lets go of her and starts to give in. Why is that chance coming to me then? Because I'm angry. She lives well after stealing my man. It's not fair. And people like me can't stand feeling cheated on. So I get to blow off steam and I get UNK if I'm lucky. You punish the woman who betrayed you and change your life with a fortune. What do I have to do to make that happen? Well, I'll tell you when you've made up your mind, little shrimp. She pats him on the chest kind of seductively. Honestly, Yura just is like blue balling him, and it's like making him shit his pants in fear, but also get way too excited at the same time. A visual that you absolutely did not ask for. The bodyguard opens and closes the door for Yura and hands Michael a business card. And Michael is just standing there goofy. He looks goofy. So if Michael is the shrimp, Yura just forced him to bite the bait. He's basically gonna go full unhinged mode, and he's about to go full stalker on Gia to make up his mind. I saw a comment the other day asking if I got lip fillers, and I'm taking that as a compliment. Okay, I don't have lip fillers, not that anything's wrong with them, but I have been regularly using a new lip plumping product. Let me tell you, I have been trying to get on the lip plumping hype for a while now. Like, I love the look of fuller lips, but I hate that stinging sensation that you get with most lip plumpers. I read somewhere that the ingredient used to make your lips sting in the lip plumpers can even damage your lips, so just to be safe, I've been avoiding lip plumpers until I found the lip plumping peptide gloss from Thrive Cosmetics. If I leave the house and I forget this lip gloss, I will genuinely drive back home to get it. There is something about having crusty, dry lips that ruins my whole day, so I refuse to leave the house without my peptide gloss. And this product is everything I ever needed in one. It's a lip plumper and it's super hydrating. It gives me fuller lips without the sensation of stinging. It actually has a cooling sensation instead, and it's got this amazing fresh citrus scent. It's got a very pleasant feeling on the lips. It's not too greasy. It keeps my lips hydrated literally all day long. I applied it this morning when I woke up, and I feel like my lips still feel very plump. I love that this is lip care product, but also doubles as a beauty product. You can choose from 10 different shades, 4 shines, 4 shimmers, and if you have sensitive skin, Thrive Cosmetics will not irritate your skin because all of their products are 100% vegan and cruelty-free, made with clean, skin-loving ingredients. Thrive Cosmetics is luxury beauty that gives back. So right now, you can get an exclusive 20% off your first order at thrivecosmetics.com/bake. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/bake for 20% off your first order. Do you know that feeling when you had the perfect outfit planned out in your head and you know exactly which blouse is going to go with the exact jeans and which coat you're going to wear, but then when you put it all together, it just doesn't look good? So now you're 20 minutes late digging through your closet trying to find the one shirt that perfectly matches the vibe that you're going for? That's how frustrating it feels to find reliable weight loss information on the internet these days. It seems like every article that I read contradicts the previous one, and it just feels so confusing. If you've ever gone down the rabbit hole of trying different diets, going in circles, getting frustrated, there's a better, more sustainable way to lose weight. That is the Row Body Program. The Row Body Program pairs a weekly shot with healthy lifestyle changes so that you can lose 15 to 20% of your weight in a year on average and actually keep it off. You can sign up from the comfort of your own home with no need for scheduling doctor's appointments or sitting in waiting rooms. Once you sign up, you'll complete a fully online medical visit and get paired with a licensed medical professional. They'll help you create a sustainable diet and exercise routine and answer all your questions and concerns. If you qualify for medication, Rose Partners will handle your insurance paperwork to try and help you get medication covered. If eligible for medication, patients have access to their provider on demand for any questions. Average weight loss is 15 to 20% in 1 year with healthy lifestyle changes. BMI and other eligibility criteria apply. Go to row.co/baking. Sign up today and you'll pay just $99 for your first month and $145 a month after that. Medication costs are separate. That's ro.co/baking. He waits for her the next day at work for her to get into the work elevator, and right before the door closes, he steps in and it's just the two of them, and he slams her up against the wall. Yeah, oh yeah. What are you doing? You're more ambitious than I thought. Richard, you? How did you know that he's from the CEO's family? He looks like such a loser. I couldn't tell at all. You know now. I've known way before. Don't you remember? I've always been better than you. Now he wants to actually kill her. So when was it? When did you find out? I'm getting sick of this, Michael. Gia tries to shove Michael away from her, but she's also like 100 pounds of conventional beauty standards balancing on 2 giant stilettos. She's never gonna stand a chance. She tries to wiggle her away from Michael, but he's just grabbing her and slamming her up against the wall again. The company benefits. I should have known. Did you two develop feelings the night that I proposed? That's why you ruined the family meeting and humiliated me with panties at work? Everything makes so much sense now, Gia King. When did you start planning all of this, huh? Tell me. What the hell are you talking about? Gia remembers that all men have a weakness, though. Being a skinny queen does have its advantages. Bony knees. Gia knees Michael right in his weakness, his jewels, and he falls over in pain. You're forgetting one piece of the puzzle. You cheated on me with Stacy. That's the cause of all of this. The elevator door opens and Gia storms out of there. Meanwhile, Michael's finally convinced. Gia's been playing him all along. Before the proposal, before the cheating, before all of it. Yura tells Michael, Gia has real estate in her name. Buildings, land, apartments. She's now worth about $60 million.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
it's from him.
Gia King has $60 million.
But does she know that? Did
No.
Gia know? Ah.
Europe pulls out 2 briefcases full to the brim with $50 bills. Michael has never seen this much money in his life. His eyes go huge. His mouth is drooling. His pants are building a tent. You get it. Michael, don't look so surprised at this amount of money. You'll get 100 times more than this if she dies. Wait, 100 times? Look, your wife's relationship with Gia is so fun. They're not like sisters. You could actually say that they are sisters. Somehow, Yura knows more about Stacy and Gia than Michael has ever in the 17 years of knowing both of them. Girlie is not here to play around. Meanwhile, Mr. Lee is stopping by Richard's place to finish the final paperwork on the cute little $60 million real estate transfer. And Mr. Lee is obviously suspicious. Like, why out of the blue are you giving your ex-girlfriend $60 million and preparing documents for your cat like you're about to disappear into the Bermuda Triangle? I took care of the taxes today. Now Gia Kang has unknowingly become one of the richest real estate owners in Korea. Is this really what you want? Why not? And here's a bigger problem. I'm not sure about not telling the chairman. You're the one that said that I could do whatever I wanted. I did, but what are you trying to do exactly here, Richard? If I wasn't managing your health checkup results, I'd think that you were dying. I can understand the cat, but why prepare for Miss Kang's future? Didn't you two break up? I just want to do it. I just hope that she'll live a good life later on, since we're not meant to be together. Meanwhile, Michael has been fully initiated into the dark side. He goes back home to recruit his ditzy little wife, right? And he places the briefcase of money on the floor. Stacy's just sitting on the bed waiting for him to say something. You kept a lot of things from me, Stacy. Like what? You used Gia's mom to swindle Gia, but you failed. How did you know that? You dummy. The person who sent you the photos wasn't suggesting you find her mom to beg for money. What's important right now is that Gia is worth $60 million. What? Gia has $60 million? Richard gave it to her. She's on another level. Stacy's about to implode with rage. She's clenching the bed sheets, wishing it was Gia's neck. Girlie only needs one more reason to convince her of homicide, but $60 million is probably 60 million reasons. She's headed straight for a straitjacket at this point. But this is good news for us, Stacy, because if she dies, her only family member gets it, and that's her mom. So we just wait until she dies? And if she dies, is her mom gonna give it to us? Stacy, you poor thing. How hard has it been for you to not be able to tell me all of this? Your dad? I know he's still alive. So remember, Stacy left her mom and dad out of the wedding, and the story goes her dad died and left his mom with his fortune, but Stacy's childhood trauma is just going to unravel right now. She has to go meet up with her dad. He owns a small little restaurant in Busan, and there's a bunch of loan sharks coming in every day to crash plates onto the top of his head because he's not paying up the loans that he took, and it's a lot, and Stacy is watching all of this from the outside, and it's just a lot of emotions. So she goes in, and it's very clear that she hates her dad, hates him, but wants him to love her. Stacy, what are you doing here? Where's the lady you live with? Huh? What? So they all sit down in the little messy restaurant, and she slams the duffel bag of money onto the table. So while Stacy's about to blackmail her own dad, Richard's trying to make a peace offering once and for all. So he heads over to Yura's hotel suite, and he's walking down this darkly lit golden hallway to a metal door that looks more like a bank safe than a hotel door entrance. He walks into the hotel room, which is more like a high-rise penthouse apartment. Her luxury suite has the living room that's the size of 2 hotel rooms alone, and Yura's sitting alone on the couch looking like she's expecting him. Richard walks up and passes her a yellow envelope. It's a stock transfer certificate that can separate Cloud Air and Key Light Tour from UNK. You can take full control of your companies. Yura doesn't even take the papers out of the envelope. She tosses it onto the coffee table. You had me curious for a second there. It's a small price if it's for the great love of yours, and boring if you want me to get lost. You're never interested in me, Yura. I'm asking you to live that way. No, you weren't interested in me, but you were never going to call off the engagement until you did. We would have gotten married when the time was right and then lived our own separate, indifferent lives. Richard hears a loud banging noise from the bedroom and he rushes over to see what it is. He pushes the double doors of Yura's bedroom open and he's scanning the bathroom, the bedroom, and everything. And Yura comes in behind him. This is nice. Like a jealous man afraid his fiance has another man in her room. I like it when a man is restless. Knowing Yura, the noise is not a coincidence. So he didn't catch what it was, but it's Yura. Like something is definitely happening. There's no way it's nothing. Do you want to try it, Yura? Finding each other's weaknesses and tormenting one another? Don't forget that I can do whatever you can do. No, don't you think I would be better at it than you? Richard goes back to the living room and grabs the envelope. Like, girl, please, take the thing, okay? Take this and stop what you're doing, Yura. I don't know why you'd think that I would do anything. All these things that you're saying, it hurts, Richard. Even without this, even without that offer, I'm not going to do anything. I realize breaking off the engagement was a mistake. I just want to take it back. She gets up close and personal with him. Have your fun, Richard. Love always comes to an end. And when yours does, you can come home back to me. Bruh. I am so pissed off at Grandpa Yu. Like, why did he think that she was even a viable option in the first place? Richard is pissed. He's jaw maxing harder than ever, okay? Richard rips up the envelope on his way out and he starts making a phone call. There's something I need you to look into, Mr. Lee. Richard Daddy is smart enough to make some precautions right now, so he tells Mr. Lee to get some intel. Meanwhile, Yura's heading back into the bedroom to finish what Richard interrupted because the begging came from the idiot that we call Michael. Obviously. Come out. Michael runs out from behind the little curtain all frazzled, which is hilarious because it's nighttime. So like imagine the people from the building across the street just like seeing Michael's clown butt hiding from behind the curtain. Anyway, what just happened? Wasn't that Richard? Are we caught? Do you know how much Cloud Air and Key Light Tour are worth? What? Yura playfully pushes Michael onto her bed. When combined, about $2 billion. Michael is shitting his pants at the sheer math that he has to calculate in his brain. $2 billion? But he just gave it to me. It's so upsetting. She wraps her arms around Michael's neck. Kill Jia Kang, please. I'll clean up the mess. You'll have enough money for the rest of your life. I'll get Richard, and I'll make sure that he regrets offering me something like this ever again. She seals the deal by kissing Michael. Yura is dedicated. I'm going to give her that because even Jia got away with being engaged to him and never laid a single lip near Michael's vicinity, but she's like ready to make out with him for this. And while Yura and Michael are swapping spit, Stacy is sitting at the restaurant table with her dad and Jia's mom. And she opens up that duffel bag full of money and the two are completely drooling. Their eyes are glued to the cash. It's $120,000. Pay off your urgent debts first. I'll pay off the rest when it's over, and I'll make sure that you get a fortune. Stacy's dad is so freaking excited for it. Where did you get all this money? Stacy's dad tries to yank it, but Stacy yanks it back because she's not done with the terms and conditions yet. Do you think this is mine? What have you ever done for me, huh? Listen up, this money was given by someone who could bury us without anyone knowing. So do as you're told, and this shitty life is gonna be over, or else we all die together. The couple looks at each other, but they're too greedy to pass this up, even if that means that they might risk their lives for it. Stacy's losing her patience. Can you do it or not? Her dad scoops up the duffel bag and holds it close to his chest. He's sniffing the cash. They both nod. We can do it. Yeah, let's do it. What do you need us to do? So Stacy's dad, Stacy, and Gia's mom have officially sold their souls to the devil. Stacy calls Michael to tell him, who, by the way, is still at Yura's place getting cozy. Yura's sitting on the side while he's pacing back and forth, and she's acting like she has no idea what's going on. And Michael tells her enthusiastically, yeah, okay, good job. You didn't tell them about me though, right, Stacy? Yeah, well, don't let them know that we got married anyway. Like, let's not make things uncomfortable. I'm not gonna see them again after this. Anyway, of course, yes, step by step. So I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it, and Yura's gonna be involved. Yura turns to her bodyguard, and he lets her know Gia's dad's death anniversary is this weekend. She's very excited. Then, good. Then we can make that D-Day. She's obviously gonna visit her dad. And just like that, we're back to the day of the accident. But there's a few things that we never found out when the accident happened. Like, who was tailing her to the cemetery? How did Richard know that she's in trouble? Who the drove the truck out of doom, you know? Gia's on her way to the cemetery, minding her own business, and she's sitting, sobbing in front of her dad's burial site. Richard's at home, taking a shower after judo practice, and Mr. Lee is calling him. Yes, Mr. Lee. Yura hasn't made any moves, but I think we made a mistake. Gia's mom illegally rented a dump truck under a borrowed name, which means if Gia dies, all the real estate in her name will go to her mother automatically. Where is the dump truck right now? According to the current GPS, it's going down Route 424. So Richard's racing the clock to reach Gia, and he immediately hangs up to call her. Gia's in the car, about to leave the cemetery, and remember, she checks her phone. She sees someone calling, so she tries to pick it up, but her phone dies before she sees who it was, before she even gets to answer. She puts her phone back down and starts driving after wiping away her tears. And we see this black car in the parking lot turn its headlights on. And I guess Richard wasn't just like love bombing her, but he hired a PI to follow her just to keep her safe because of Yura. But his car is not starting. It's so sus, isn't it?
The PI's car?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like I guess Yura knew. Yeah, pretty sure it's Sam, by the way, not a PI. But anyway, like his car's not starting. So Yura probably knew and made sure that his car wasn't working so that he can't keep her safe. But Richard is already on the move. He's grabbing his jacket. He's calling everybody to see what's going on. Stop Gia. Don't let her drive. And then he's all like, what? Richard, my car's been breaking down Gia already drove off. She's on Route 424 right now, right outside. Hello? So this is useless. Now, Richard realizes it's time to take matters into his own hands. We see him slow-mo, rushing out of his apartment while throwing on his jacket. He looks like a menace. He's out for blood. Richard is speeding through the streets of Seoul. He's weaving through cars, having his main character moment. He's trying to prevent her death. I mean, he thinks to himself, there were so many times when things were so foggy and unclear, but now they're clear. Why did I come back this time? I used to ask myself. If I had, I would have protected her. So if I get a chance, I'll take it. If I can't be with her, then why did I come back? And as he's driving, memories of his old life and his new life are flashing before his eyes. And Richard tries calling her one last time, but it goes to voicemail. The person you have dialed is unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep. Richard decides to leave some last words. I'll tell you something I didn't expect to tell you like this. I died in 2023. It was a car accident, and when I opened my eyes, it was 2013. Then I met you again, and I mistakenly believed that I could be happy, but I can't protect you forever. I could die at any time, and I can't resist the temptation to be without you. I like you. I like you. I like you so much. So I'm sorry. I came here to protect you, but if I knew it would happen so soon, I wouldn't have held your hand. Don't blame yourself. The inevitable is happening. Meanwhile, Gia's facing the truck of doom head on, and we see that it's Stacy's dad behind the wheel. Richard does not hesitate. He speeds up, and when Richard speeds past Gia's car and swerves, the only thing he's looking at is Gia. And then the truck completely pancakes Richard's car. Stacy's dad manages to wake up and see what he's done, that he's forked up, and he just wrecked the wrong car, so he makes a run for it. Gia is making a run to see Richard unconscious and bleeding from the head. Richard gets rushed to the hospital and he's laying on the stretcher with oxygen masks over his face. 8 nurses, they're sprinting his stretcher into the operating room. Is Richard gonna be okay? I don't know, Kelsey. He's bleeding from his head. Does he look okay to you? So for some reason, Gia is like touching the stretcher, trying to save him. Like Bestie thinks that she's a doctor just because she went to Korea University. She's trying to keep up with all the nurses, but one is holding her back. And he gets sent into the hospital, into major surgery. He's got major internal bleeding, and they've got his whole chest and stomach open while he's operating. He's about to spend hours in intensive surgery while Gia watches the clock and bites her nails in the waiting room. She finally charges her phone, and with her bloodied hands, she grabs her headphones because she realizes that he has a voicemail that was left for her. Meanwhile, Stacy fighting demons in the same hotel room as Gia's mom. Gia's mom is pacing, watching the phone like a hawk. Why won't he pick up? All he had to do was crash into her. He should have called way earlier. Why isn't he done? Why can't I reach him? Crash into her? You're talking about your daughter's life ending. I guess you're not even worried about that. You little brat. You put it in such a mean way. Do you know what's scarier than blood, Stacy? Money. Don't make me laugh. You wouldn't be with my dad then. He's pretentious and everything he says is a lie. He offers you everything on a silver platter, but he never does anything for you. Listen to you talking about your father like that. Where are your manners? Do you have any idea how much my dad pretended to love me? But when I think about it, he never actually does anything for me. What about you? I'm sure nothing he does goes right. Maybe you even clean up all his messes. The ladies hear someone knocking on the door. You can just feel how freaked out they are. They open the door. Stacy's dad rushes in. His voice is shaky. He's trying to catch his breath, and he looks over at Stacy, and she can already tell by his eyes. But Gia's mom cannot tell. Well, why do you look like that? What happened? Stacy screams, because he never does anything right. Michael is at Yura's place, clowning himself again, and he's literally waiting on her hand and foot. Yura's watching a UFC fight while Michael is massaging her hands. You must be under a lot of stress. This part is very stiff. You're very good at this, Michael. But her bodyguard rushes over and tells her the bad news. Mr. Yu cut in and got hurt. He's now in the hospital and being operated on. The driver ran from the scene. Ugh, how could Richard be there? I'm looking into it right now. I'm sorry. It must be nice. All you have to do is apologize since I'm the one cleaning up the mess. Wait. Isn't the woman and his daughter at the hotel? Then the driver must have gone there. Search that area first. So it certainly doesn't sound like Yura's planning to send Stacy's dad and Gia's mom a welcome basket. Meanwhile, Yura looks over at Michael. Take your wife and go home. Nothing happened, and don't do anything until I call you. But once Michael gets to the hotel, Stacy is literally losing it. She's screaming at the top of her lungs. She's slamming anything that is remotely breakable and shattering it at the wall. But one thing Michael doesn't see is her father or her mother in the hotel room. Are you insane? Stacy's whole face is swollen and she's red from crying. My dad abandoned me again. He ran away with that woman. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? All jokes aside, I did feel kind of bad for Stacy in this scene. It's all Gia's fault. I'm going to kill them all. It's all Gia's fault. I'm going to kill her. I'm going to kill everyone. Okay, never mind. I don't feel bad for her anymore. Michael is not even trying to hear this shit. He's trying to get back to massaging Yura's hand. So he pulls Stacy to the side and says bluntly, Stacy, snap out of it. It's not over. The woman's on our side. There's a world that people like us don't even know about. Let's just do as we're told and we're going to get tickets into that world. She said that she'd clean up this whole mess. We're home all night. If the cops come, you don't know anything about your dad. Got it? Meanwhile, Richard's fighting for his life. Hannah, Mr. Lee, Grandpa Yu, they all show up at the hospital and they're all freaking out. They're all nervous. Hannah's crying. The grandpa's crying. They're all a mess. Gia sees Mr. Lee walk out with someone though. So she follows them into the stairwell and she's overhearing them. Mr. Lee is whispering, wait, the driver was who? We must get him first and get information on his girlfriend too from the police. Stacy could never have done this on her own. Gia walks into sight and says, did you just say Stacy? It wasn't just a car accident, then was it? But Stacy has nothing to gain from killing me, and she's not daring enough to kill. We're looking into it, Gia, but there is someone behind this, and what they gain from you is when you die. Well, I can't tell you, but Richard did. It was supposed to be for you. It's crazy, okay? Like Richard gifting her millions in real estate is what jumpstarts all of this, but he's in the operation room right now, so Gia has no idea what's going on, but Gia is upset. The doctors finally walk out of the operating room, but it's not the news Grandpa Yu wants to hear. We did everything we could, but we don't know when he'll wake up. What are you saying right now? You have to save him at all costs. Gia looks through the glass into Richard's hospital room. She sees him hooked up to all these machines, and she thinks back to the end of his voicemail. But I can't protect you forever, Gia. I could die at any moment. So forget all the bad things and remember the good. I hope you're happy. And Gia decides she can't just wait here for him to wake up. So she does the most reckless shit that I've ever seen her freaking do, okay? She calls Stacy to meet up at an abandoned playground. Stacy immediately grabs her jacket and sprints towards Gia, and they meet. Can you really not just leave me alone? I've wanted to ask you for some time, Stacy, and I finally can now. How could you think of killing someone? Was it for the money? Gia, what are you talking about? Why could you say something so scary? What about you? Don't you know what you did to me? I miscarried because of you. That's nonsense. Pregnant? Michael can't get anyone pregnant. What are you talking about, Gia? I really was pregnant. I have an ultrasound picture. I felt the baby. Gia is physically rebuking the gaslighting that Stacy's trying to attempt. Gaslighting exorcism is taking place. She screams at the top of her lungs. That's enough. Stop lying. You keep lying and lying and lying. What's wrong with you? Why are you doing this to me? Stacy pushes her off and backs away. What's wrong with you? Stacy collects herself and now her voice is calm. She's like a killer. She's just stalking her prey. You asked if I could leave you alone. Yeah, well, no, I can't. Because you can't be happy, Gia. You probably don't know, but when your mom had an affair and left you when you were 14, it was with my dad. You had no idea, and you were so happy. Because of that, that's why. So if we thought Gia's home life was sad, Stacy's life was sad. She's left with her mom, and Gia was left with her dad, right? Because they were having an affair. But Stacy's mom is absolutely evil. So Stacy goes to Gia's house, and at first when she befriended Gia, she genuinely thought maybe we can relate to each other, maybe we can bond and be friends. But she saw the way that Gia's dad treats her like an absolute princess, and ever since then she just hated Gia. For every reason, she just hates, can't stand Gia, just hates her. She even tells Gia a lie. She says, yeah, well, my dad is dead. He died 2 years ago, and I was his little princess. He used to love me. Stacy said, that's when I started to be bothered by you. And I started to want to steal everything from you. Why are you always okay, huh? Why are you always good? Why are always good things happening to you? Do you get it now? I've never liked you, Gia. You were always smiling without a freaking clue. Well, being happy is a sin. You're so clueless. It was annoying. Stacy shoves her and Gia has tears streaming down her face. And Stacy starts screaming, do you know how hard life can be? Do you know how hellish it can be? You can't be happy when I'm so miserable. Now I'm going to show you how unkind the world can be, how hellish life is. As Stacy turns to leave, Gia grabs her arm. Gia has tears streaming down her face. Was that all? Your dad had an affair with my mom? No one knew, but you did. You think you can make me suffer and steal what's mine because of that? Gia, you're so full of yourself. I hate when you act like a know-it-all. Don't you feel sorry for me? Because I feel so bad for myself. Not at all, Stacy. I don't feel bad for you. Because I knew too. I knew that your dad was having an affair with my mom. I knew it too. And I thought it was a relief that you didn't know. Gia thought that Stacy genuinely thought her dad was dead. She found out that her dad wasn't and that he was the one sleeping with her mom, and she didn't tell Stacy to protect her because she genuinely liked her. And back in the present, Gia tells her, I wanted to be good to you. I thought we could be happy together. Even when I felt like I was dying, I hoped that you'd be happy even when I was dying. Stacy's like, don't act like you cared. You dumped Michael on me for a rich guy. You dumped him on me. You were always like this. You pretend to be nice and you take everything in the end. You take everything. I just realized why you ended up like this. You brought this upon yourself. Also, it's not the end. A harsher hell awaits you, and I will see to it. Look forward to it. It'll be different than before, Stacy. Now, Gia walks off, and she goes back to the hospital to join Richard. He's still comatose, but at least he's not hooked up to life support. He's got minor bandages around his head, and she's just talking to him. Gia is holding Richard's hand in the hospital, and she's saying, you told me to use you anytime, but what is this? You can't even open your eyes, Richard. By the way, I've grown stronger and I've become better. I'm not the old Gia Kang anymore. So fate, I'm not scared of it anymore. I want you to overcome your fate too. I was always alone, and I've counted the days since my mom left and the days since my dad died. But now I want to count the days of us together. So come back to me. Don't leave me alone. Open your eyes, please. I want to hear your voice. She plays his voice recording again just to hear him say, I like you, and I like you so much. Gia stops the voicemail to respond to him in person. I like you too. And while she starts to cry, his finger makes a single twitch, and he slowly but surely opens his eyes and immediately turns his head to hers, and he grabs her cheek, and the first words that come out of his mouth are, I love you. And Gia responds, I love you too.
Was that the part you were crying?
Yeah.
Was that the part?
Guys, wait, what did I do? You were done.
Stephanie was watching. This is my POV. She goes, this shit is so sad. Turns around, aggressively pulls a
Kleenex. And I just start dabbing my face. Okay? I literally went, this shit is so sad. I was so pissed. Okay? I don't like it. And it's only gonna get more aggressive from here because we only have 3 episodes left, which we're gonna recap on Monday. So guess what? I'm gonna see you on Monday.
That's the finale?
It's the finale. So
Oh, thank God.
what? I wish that this could go on for the rest of my life. I love this show, okay? But it is getting a little bit more stressful. This is starting to feel like, when a series, like the first movie of Hunger Games is good, right? And then like by the second one, you're like, it's getting a little too dark here. It's getting a little too serious here. Why are there so many people dying? Like it was all hee hee ha ha. What's going on? That's how it feels right now. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next one.